They've already had him with the Bulls. I mean, they're going Zion crazy, and now we'll have to wait and see. In case you have not heard, Zion in practice yesterday got hurt.
Horrible news.
And the way this is going, he did avoid severe injury, they say, and this is like everybody's right knee. It's the right knee thing.
His right knee at Duke.
He is expected to miss a period of weeks to start the regular season. And so it's a little like the Duke deal, too. They're vague about it. They're just going weeks. They're not saying 1.5 weeks, because that would qualify. 2 weeks, 3 weeks. 4. They didn't say a month. So well, I'm saying anywhere from 1.5 to 4 weeks. He's not going to play.
It was 4 weeks at Duke when he got hurt, from February 20th, and then he didn't appear again until the NCAA tournament. He didn't play an ACC tournament, did he?
I can't remember.
It was a while, and is this 4 weeks? Is this 6 weeks? Is it? If it's past 6 weeks, then we know that we're not being told the truth, as we often are on a lot of injuries. And on Patrick Mahomes, it sounds less.
But if we go back, yeah, I agree. But if we go back just 1 second, because you said that they said he avoided severe injury, so I can't see this going past 6 weeks. I don't think they're lying, because they would not have said anything like he avoided severe injury. And what they're saying about Mahomes, since you brought it up, is that it's the best news they could have gotten.
Well, and Dave, we know in sports also, in the business aspect of it, he avoided severe injury. Still buy those boxes and suites and season ticket plans, Pelican fans. No worries. Nothing to see here. Come on, buy tickets for sale. Come on.
Yeah.
And look, everybody's so coy and cagey around sports about injury, and it is a definite economic impact on it for the Pelicans. They can't catch a break. I hate it for them. I really do, because I don't know anybody that's happy about it. And if you are, I don't think you're much of a sports fan. But just, thank goodness that's not us here in Memphis with the rebuild ahead and the Pelicans with the same thing, and just so much hope around their franchise. And they have this happen to them, and they never really could get rolling with Anthony Davis there. And then when they could, he wanted out of there, and he got out of there.
But they ended up with the best pick they could have gotten, the guy who's going to be the next LeBron, the guy that even the general managers. By the way, they had good things to say, those GMs, about Ja and Jaren. But they picked this guy to be the best athlete in the entire NBA. Now, youth has something to do with that, and then he goes out and hurts his knee. I don't know when we'll stop this. I'm not sure if we will stop this. Earlier this week in the Gould Style segment, on Monday when I was giving out medals, I talked about running quarterbacks. You even mentioned Patrick Mahomes and the ankle injury. And then last night on a 4th down, where, by the way, he's now 9 of 10 on the year on 4th down and short, going for first downs. He gets the first down, but his knee gets dislocated. Now, this is what blows me away. And I guess it's like shoulders or fingers when they all pop out. They pop him back into place. So when he left the field and went into the locker room yesterday, they basically popped a dislocated knee. It was a right patella. They pop it back in. Then they take the MRI going, we hope that when he dislocated it, and when we popped it back in, there was no ligament damage, no tendon damage, nothing. And we'll find out, when we do the MRI tomorrow, and we'll see swelling and all that other stuff. And they did the MRI today, and there was no damage. I don't know.
A lot of pain.
Because you know what? They say when you pop it back in, the pain goes away. Okay. The popping of it back in hurts like the dickens. Before...
I almost fainted hearing about it.
Before they put it back in, or before the MRI, let me put it that way, because they put it back in, and I think they felt pretty good about that when they did it, to be honest. But they said he'd miss 3 weeks. Now, they're not saying how much time he's going to miss. I couldn't find any sort of time frame that the Chiefs or Andy Reid or anybody with that organization had given out.
And now they're going to have to rely on a backup quarterback, and the Chiefs were thought of as maybe the prime candidate to put some pressure on the Patriots. They hosted the AFC Championship game last year. Now they're doing the same math that the Saints have been having to do the last few weeks. And even if the Saints went out Sunday at Soldier Field and got blasted by the Bears, the Saints have held up pretty well in this period without Drew Brees. Dave,
from your mouth to God's ears, as they say, if you're a Bears fan.
I've heard of fingers, and I've even heard of hips being popped in, but I had never heard of a kneecap being popped back in.
That's the first time I've heard of it. I've seen shoulders get popped back in.
Yeah, and I think people will remember this, the Alabama-LSU rematch after the 2011 season in the Superdome. It wasn't in the Sugar Bowl, but it was the BCS championship game. And C.J. Mosley, the great linebacker now in the NFL from Alabama, he was a freshman that year. And my nephew was a part of the student equipment staff, and he said C.J. Mosley's, and you could see it on the replay, it looked bad. Hip popped out. He said they popped it back in, and it sounded like a shotgun going off. And he was fine. He was fine.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, is I guess there's the relief that it's actually back in place. Now, usually those things end up being more inclined to pop out again. And that, that's why. And a good example of that might be Anthony Miller from last year with the Bears. His shoulder got popped out as a Tiger, and it was popping out all the time with the Bears, so he had to have surgery to have that corrected so that it wouldn't pop out all the time.
Scott Hastings at Arkansas, when he played college basketball at Arkansas, now longtime Denver Nugget announcer, man, his shoulder was popping in and out. I mean, almost every trip up and down the court, and it was kind of routine for it. But I can tell you, if I hear somebody's knee or hip pop in or pop out, I might get a little queasy.
I don't know if a hip can. I'm not sure about that. I think if your hip is out, you got some problems.
No, I told you they popped C.J. Mosley back in on the field.
Man.
And in the noise of the dome said you could hear it. And that lunch, breakfast, and supper all could be lost if I hear that.
Oh, yeah.
Dave, because I can stand anything except for pain or temptation.
Well, I certainly am not going to deliver you. I am not going to deliver you pain. I don't know if I can promise the other.
I'm in Oxford on a Friday night. That's a lot of temptation.
Exactly. The final knee belongs to a big guy who was really about to say farewell anyway. That is C.C. Sabathia, the 39-year-old pitcher. He had his knee buckle and then kind of threw out his shoulder and took himself out last night in the eighth inning, and he was going to retire after the season. The Yankees have literally taken him off postseason. If they were to come back, which I highly doubt, if they were to come back, he would no longer be eligible to play. So we have now seen C.C. Sabathia, a great pitcher, for the last time, and I hate it that he had to go out that way.
Hall of Fame, straight to it?
I don't have his numbers in front of me, but my gut feeling says yes.
Yeah, I say yes, and warhorse pitcher and player, and went through a lot of trials and tribulations, but got himself right and had I think, an outstanding career, very honorable career. And the Yankees going out with, it looks like the gentleman's sweep tonight, doesn't it? It's hard to believe. Hard to believe to see the Yankees just kind of feckless, but that's how good Houston is.
And to think that they got the first game in Houston, and then have just fallen apart. And last night was really interesting because, they take the 1-0 lead and they got Tanaka on the mound, and I'm thinking, okay, this is good, and then the Yankees get a 3-run homer, and it's 3-1, and I'm okay because there were a couple of innings that could have been a lot worse, and Tanaka just seems to get out of jams, and everything seems to be going along great, and then what was it, the fifth? They load the bases with only one out. And you're thinking, here it is. This is the Yankee comeback. This series is going to be tied at 2-2. Bases are loaded, only
Yankee
one
Stadium
out.
Rocking.
And they don't score. They don't score. And then up come the Astros, and Correa hits another 3-run homer, 6-1, sayonara.
And I bought in a little bit. I think you were away one day when we were talking about the good shortstop for the Rays, Adames, spelled Adames. And I heard an announcer say that he could be the best shortstop left in this postseason. That That's not right.
No.
Carlos Correa is the best shortstop in the game.
And he's been hurt all year. Now he's back at the right time.
And what he does defensively, and the range and the ranginess, his height and his range reminds, of A-Rod, of Cal Ripken.
Yeah. I think that's fair. Speaking of great defense, I just didn't remember how good Zach Greinke was as a fielding pitcher. I mean, did you see a routine play that they made where the first baseman LeMahieu goes to the second base side, gloves the ball, turns around, and there's Greinke way ahead of a fast base runner for what could have been in the early innings a base hit for sure. And they made it look so routine. And I didn't realize Zach Greinke had won so many Gold Glove awards as a fielding pitcher. But he just makes it look easy.
And it looks like by the time we reassemble Monday, maybe even before we go to bed tonight, World Series is going to be set between Astros and Nationals. And I'll be for the Nationals because they've never won it, and for our friend Bob Carpenter.
Me too.
But I'm not anti-Astros at all.
I'm not,
I love watching them play.
Well, I think they're the best team in baseball. Now, the best team doesn't always win in the World Series. A hot team like the Nationals could very well
That's right.
Come back and do it. And when you got the pitchers that the Washington Nationals have, that goes a long, long way. But I think if you look lineup for lineup and pitching for pitching, when you've got Verlander and Cole and Greinke, that's a pretty good grouping. And I think that is a hard grouping to beat. I would have to think the Astros would be a pretty comfortable favorites in
Sometimes you get that upset in the World Series, but usually that best of seven and that team with that home field playing 1 and 2 and 6 and 7 at home, it means a lot. The Mets in '69 over Drew's Orioles, and Orioles won game 1 of that series, and also in '83 when the Orioles won it, Drew, they were down 1-0 to the Phillies. I thought the Phillies on paper were really better that year, and the Orioles won it 4-1. But I think the biggest World Series upset ever, not just to win it, but to sweep them, is when Lou Pinella's 1990 Cincinnati Reds swept the A's, and that was Tony La Russa's A's that had won it in '89, had the heartbreak in '88 to Kirk Gibson in a big upset for the Dodgers 4-1 that year. But 3 straight World Series for Tony La Russa's A's, and to get swept by him, and Jose Rio and Joe Oliver was a hero, and Eric Davis and some others. But usually the better team wins that best of 7.
No doubt. No doubt. You asked me yesterday what would be a good crowd for the U of M. I said anything in the 30s. And we know that there have been smaller crowds in Oxford this year. I don't know if the grounds have been any less populated, because I think that the Grove is still as popular as ever. But inside the stadium, in particular, I guess the game against Southeast Louisiana was not exactly a huge number. What's a good number for A&M tomorrow?
I think it should be something in the 50s. I do. Mm-hmm. And if it's not, that's very disappointing, because, in September had the legitimate excuse of the blast furnace weather. It's just going to be ideal tomorrow night in Memphis and Oxford and really everywhere to play college football. And, you had people, I don't want to go see Arkansas. I don't want to go see Southeast Louisiana. I don't want to go see Vandy. And not that A&M's a great team at all. They're not, just 3-3. But a little more cachet with them. On A&M's depth chart, out of 59 listed players, they have 4 seniors listed. 4.
What? Seriously?
Out of 59 players. They are freshmen, sophomore laden, and I think Jimbo Fisher thinks loaded for the future.
Well, maybe that's the reason why they have been a disappointment. I had no idea they had so few seniors.
And if they were to lose tomorrow night, and the line's moved up all week, now it's at 6.5, and we pick it at 5:30. That's the one we're keying off of. But if they were to lose tomorrow night, their bowl math gets a little dicey with next week Mississippi State, then Texas San Antonio. They should win that one. Then home against South Carolina. And how about these 2 to finish the season with for A&M? At Georgia, at LSU. So if they don't win tomorrow night, they start worrying about bowl math.
I agree. It's a rough year for the SEC.
It is.
Except for the teams
because
at
it's
the
so
very
top heavy.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
they're pretty much feasting. South Carolina a little bit upset with the big upset last week. This hour every day brought to you by Lexus of Memphis, 2600 Ridgeway, and online at lexusofmemphis.com. Give them a call at 901-362-8833. Lexus of Memphis offering that golden opportunity fall sales event. Great offers on the very few remaining 2019s, 2020s rolling in, and always special lease options. If you've ever thought I'd look great in a Lexus, well, guess what? Lexus of Memphis thinks you would look great in a Lexus, too. Driving luxury and confidence, knowing that every new Lexus comes with complimentary first and second maintenance services. Stop by today at Lexus of Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway and put yourself in the driver's seat of an all-new 2020 flagship LS500, and you will be looking great. Lexus of Memphis, the highest standards in the industry. When you purchase a Lexus, you get top-of-the-line engineering and design that makes for the luxury driving experience. Online at lexusofmemphis.com. Call them at 901-362-8833. Experience amazing at Lexus of Memphis.
Top story of the day.
I know that it's still 2 months before the early signing period for college football. But it got my attention today that although Memphis has only 14 commits so far, so they're going to get more, at this very moment, if it were tomorrow, the signing period, the University of Memphis, according to 24/7, the recruiting service, would be the number 50 class in the country. That would be the best recruiting class in the history of the school. The 2017 class with Obina Eze, also T.J. Carter. That class was number 56. This class is 50 now, and that's only 14. There's obviously going to be more to come. Pretty darn significant, and just another reason why Mike Norvell has added to the change of the culture started by Justin Fuente. He's made it much better.
Yeah, and I want to see the Tigers sign some of these Shelby County players. And
me too.
And it is a pretty loaded year in Shelby County, and it is time to keep those at home because they've got so much to offer now with the winning and with the facilities. My top story of the day, Tigers tomorrow night in a pretty much must-win situation for the preseason goals against Tulane. Ole Miss kind of the same for their preseason goals. Tennessee, I think they just kind of need to be competitive, kind of the same for Arkansas and Mississippi State against Auburn and LSU respectively. The theme, third Saturday in October, has really created a central theme for most of the area teams. If you want to have if you harbor any illusions of matching the preseason goals, tomorrow either needs to be a win or you show you still have a pulse.
Not top story of the day.
Oh, this is all the injuries. And I didn't add to CeCe Sabathia and, of course, Patrick Mahomes, and we're thinking the best there. Zion Williamson, which we think isn't severe damage, but enough that he's going to miss weeks to start the regular season. The Braves, Freddie Freeman, underwent elbow surgery today after playing through the injury in the MLB playoffs. Injury's a big part of the game, and it seems like at this very moment, on this very day, more so than ever.
Yeah, and he was bad in the LDS for the Braves. And, you know, I keep waiting for somebody to seriously say, let's get rid of the quarterback sneak since Mahomes got hurt. Look, injuries are just a part of it. My not top story, it's not as bad as first feared for Patrick Mahomes. And with all the rule changes for injury, he gets hurt on a quarterback sneak. How bad of luck is that? You know, the Cowboys late in Troy Aikman's career quit running quarterback sneaks because they didn't want any more hits to the noggin for him. They just quit running them. If we can't get it with Emmitt Smith or Daryl Moose Johnston, not going to try it. And with that injury for Mahomes, that's bad for business for the NFL.
No doubt. No doubt. And I've told you, he's my favorite guy to watch. And let's face it, Matt Moore did a good job last night. And Andy Reid's got a great offensive scheme, and he himself said, okay, well, the deal is this is the NFL. You got to keep going. but this guy is probably the most fun quarterback right now in the game to watch. It's not just in Kansas City with stadiums being filled wherever he plays. It's TV ratings. People like watching the dude.
It's needle moving. Look, I wish Matt Moore will get his shot. He might, who knows, he could become the next Kurt Warner. Right now, Matt Moore sells no tickets. Pat Mahomes does.
We've got a busy show coming up in a matter of minutes. Our golden man, that would be Bruce Marshall from the Gold Sheet. We'll go over his record. It's stunning. He comes your way at 3:30. Then John David Bedour will talk. It'll be Ole Miss Day at the Butcher Shop, of all places. That takes place next Monday evening, and JD will talk about that in his High School Players of the Week. Peter Edmiston from the Morning Experience with CJ Hurt will join us at 4 to talk Grizz and the NBA. Glenn Rogers at 4:30 will, at 5 o'clock, talk the business of sports with the business professor from Harvard, Rick Horrow, and, of course, all the stuff he does for the family of NBC stations. At 5:30, our first National Bank Friday football forecast, and then crunch time coming your way at 5:50. We are loaded. We are packed. We are ready to go. But first, we've got to take a quick time out. I'll let you know this portion of the show is brought to you by Supercuts. Okay, the weekend's here. You've got a date, maybe tonight, maybe tomorrow night. You know, there's still time right now to go to Supercuts. Go to supercuts.com. You'll find the nearest location to you. There's 15 of them now. They're all over the place. In 30 years, they started with one. Every other year, they build another. It's because they're so good at what they do. It's about details. The hairdressers there know all of the details of every new haircut, fashion, or trend. They just simply do. They take a great pride with making you look good the new way, whatever way that might be. And, of course, every haircut ends with a hot towel finish. You leave feeling relaxed and yet somehow invigorated. And by the way, you leave feeling good because you look so good. That's the way it works at Supercuts. Bruce Marshall's next on this, the Friday edition of Sports Time with Wolo and Stats.
Get happy with Johnny Radio's Happy Hour. Weekday afternoons from 1 till 3 on Sports 56, 96.1, and 87.7.
Hi, this is John Conway with Conway Services. Did you notice your water heater not heating as well last winter? During the cold winter months, the groundwater is colder and requires more energy to heat the water, and sometimes old, inefficient tanked water heaters just can't keep up. It may be time for a tankless water heater from Conway Services that never runs out of hot water. Conway Services is making now the perfect time for a new tankless water heater with 24 months to pay, interest-free. Or I'll pay you $250 for that old tanked water heater. Plus, these energy-saving models only heat the water you use, saving you money on your gas bill every month. And no more worrying about that tank bursting in your attic either. So call Conway Services, the Mid-South's premier tankless water heater professionals at 384-3511. That's 384-3511. And the first 30 callers with a 10-year-old water heater will come out and inspect it absolutely free.
Call 384-3511. Conway Services. Call Conway today.
By now, everybody in Memphis knows that Sunrise on Jefferson offers the best breakfast in Memphis. But what you might not know is Sunrise also offers a fantastic lunch menu. The mouth-watering bacon cheeseburger, because everything is better with bacon. The grilled chicken sandwich, also with bacon. The turkey sandwich with, you guessed it, bacon. And, of course, the BLT, because sometimes bacon just has to be the star. Come to Sunrise for a delicious lunch, now with extra added bacon goodness. Bacon and Sunrise, made for each other.
Your Memphis Tigers football team is back in action on Saturday, October 19th against AAC foe Tulane. This is a big game in the race for AAC dominance, and a loud and proud Memphis home crowd is necessary. Single game tickets start at just $20 and are available today at GoTigersGo.com. Come out and see one of the nation's most exciting teams. Memphis versus Tulane on Saturday, October 19th at 6 p.m. Sponsored by Blue Cross Blue Shield of Tennessee.
Stripe up.
Get your gun, Nelly, and saddle up Penelope. It's Western Trading Days at Sunrise Buick GMC. Old-time trading prices on over 700 new Buicks and GMC trucks, and the Sunrise Used Car Corral has over 500 in stock. Branch managers have been told to cut prices to the bone, and remember, you can bring your car to Sunrise Service no matter where you bought it. If you're a good person with bad credit, SunriseMemphis.com will help you put one of your brand on these little fillies. Free hot dogs and Cokes at the Chuck Wagon. Western Trading Days going on now at all 3 Sunrise locations. We make it fun to buy a car again.
Farmers Insurance knows that when you're in the car and that song comes on, yes, that's the one, you have no choice but to pull out your imaginary drumsticks and smash those cymbals and stomp on that kick pedal, which unfortunately is the accelerator pedal. And we covered it. Talk to a farmer's agent who knows a thing or two because they've seen a thing or two.
Call Chad Gatlin at 901-235-1176 or get a fast quote at memphisfarmers.com.
We are farmers. Bum, 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 bum.
Underwritten by Farmers Truck Fire Insurance Exchanges and Affiliates. Products not available in every state.
Got something you want to get off your chest?
You better have a backup plan.
Want to join the conversation?
Someone needs to tell him he has to grow up.
Join us on the First Bank phone lines at 360-8255 or the First Bank text line at 67129. Now, back to Sports Time with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here once again are Dave Wolochen and Brett Norsworthy.
Welcome back in on this just gorgeous Friday afternoon. Take it nice and easy. It's Friday afternoon. Stay with us. Enjoy the weather. Doesn't get much better than this. It's going to be great all weekend long, by the way. It's going to be great in Oxford at 6:30. It's going to be even more spectacular at 6 o'clock at the Liberty Bowl tomorrow night when Memphis takes on Tulane. Bruce Marshall's going to join us. I'm letting you know we're in the Family Leisure Studios, and that factory direct pool table and spa sale still going on. When it comes to the pool tables, this is free installation on all in-stock pool tables, and you get a free playing package along with a free choice of felt and these pool tables that are just beautiful pieces of furniture, let alone a lot of fun, family fun. These things start as low as $12.99. There's additional discounts on all the in-stock spas. Remember we had that spa sale? This is sort of an extension. And there are plenty in stock and ready to ship, and you can save 20, 30, even 40% off all the spa accessories, and the swim spas now starting at $9,999. What a deal. All you got to do is get to I-40 and Wooden Road, going about a half mile north, look to your right, and there you'll see 70,000 square feet of family and fun all coming together at Family Leisure. Every week, Bruce Marshall makes it all come together for us. Brett Norsworthy, what are his numbers? These are like, we're not making this stuff up.
No.
What is he?
So last week, Bruce went 8-1 in college football.
No way.
Picking games with us on Friday afternoon. He's only 29-17 on the year in college football for 63%. 63% only. That's really good. Last week in the NFL, just 2-0. But on the year, 13-1, that's 93%. Combined, 42-18 for 70%. Get on I-70, Bruce.
Bruce, this has got to be the best start ever for you.
I didn't realize that. Really.
We're keeping up, Bruce.
I should bet some of these games. I guess. Hey, I'm here in Las Vegas. Why not?
Yeah.
Gambling's legal in Vegas, Bruce.
Yeah, well, I should take advantage of that. Maybe I will. I'm heading over to South Point out of Easton. I think I'll do some bets. What the heck?
I've got so many games I want to talk to you about. I got to start with the Big Ten showdown, and that is Michigan and Penn State, to see if Penn State is for real and to see what the heck Michigan fans will do if they lose this game, because now all they have left really is to try to beat Ohio State. What do you and the Gold Sheet think about this Big Ten showdown?
Yeah, it's like a broken record in Ann Arbor, Dave. Harbaugh keeps losing these big games, especially on the road. I don't know what suggests that they're going to be able to change things this week. He has not. I've become watching Harbaugh a little bit more. I think he just can't get his hands off of things enough, and that's why this new offense with Shea Patterson has not really taken off the way, say, it has at LSU with Joe Burrow. He just can't relinquish enough control of it. And Michigan is, I know they've only got that one loss, but it's not a real impressive record right now. And now they're on the road in a series in which the home team has landed haymakers and won big the last few years. It's whiteout night at State College in Happy Valley. Listen, I'm kind of impressed here with Penn State. The defense is really good. It's a top 5, a top 10, a fourth total defense, and second in points at only 8 per game. And this new quarterback, Clifford, looks a lot like Trace McSorley to me. He's doing a lot of the same things. He's pretty, he's got moxie and he's got some savvy. He knows what to do. 27-14 Penn State. I think they're going to get them. We'll lay the points with the Nittany Lions. And, they don't catch Ohio State until later in November. And Ohio State closes with Penn State and Michigan. We'll see how that works out. But, right now, Penn State looks like that might they win this one. They're aiming for a real showdown with Ohio State in about a month.
Laying the 9.5 and taking the Nittany Lions at home at Beaver Stadium over Michigan. Let's go local with two games. I'm going to throw two at you. One real local, a game that Dave will be calling, the Tigers in Tulane tomorrow night, a very improved Tulane team. And then the game that made the third Saturday in October very famous, Alabama hosting Tennessee and laying a bushel basket of points.
Yeah, and first the Tulane game. This is interesting here. Memphis, the defense let down a little bit last week at Temple, dug a hole, couldn't quite come back. I'll tell you, Willie Fritz is doing a great job. And by the way, they are talking about him up at Vanderbilt. I don't know if he wants to go up there, but I think Derek's on his way out, and they're going to call him if that happens, and maybe some other places. He's done a great job. Tulane, he's won everywhere he has been. They piled up 318 rush yards last year in beating the Tigers down there in New Orleans. I think they got a shot here. Willie's been a good underdog coach, and maybe Memphis's defense lets them down again here. 31-26, Greenies tomorrow night's slight upset at Liberty Bowl.
You don't like the Tigers.
Called it straight up last week against the Tigers.
You picked against us last week, and heck, we win that game if you don't turn the ball over 4 times and the replay guy doesn't overstep his bounds. My gosh. You really have that much respect for Willie Fritz in that offense, don't you? And I mean, they're good. They're better than Temple. I'll be honest with you, Bruce.
Yeah, I love Memphis too. I like Coach Norvell. I just really like Willie Fritz and what's going on. I think no matter who is the dog in this game, if it's down in New Orleans and Memphis, it's the dog would probably take the points. But up here, giving Tulane a few, kind of interesting there.
And then he asked you about Tennessee and Alabama. Used to be this
that's right.
Incredible game, and now it's a 34-point spread.
Yeah, I know. And, last week, when you were up in Philly and I was doing the show with Brett last week, we were taking all these dogs in the SEC last week, and that's not really our theme. There's only one I think we like this week. It ain't this one. It's not Tennessee. Although there's a little hope because Alabama's defense, I think, is not quite the level it has been at in recent years, and they're giving up a few too many points. But I don't know that Tennessee can take advantage here. What's going on with the quarterbacks there? Maurer, got knocked out of the game last week. They had to go back to Guarantano. I just rather not pick against Alabama here, but I think there's better spots in the card. We had it 58-20, Crimson Tide. I mean, they seem like they could score 50 points in their sleep. Nick wants to stay number one if he can, so I don't think they'll ease up. And they love to beat Tennessee, as we know.
All right, there's a game tonight, and I'm using this as my shock. Okay, so I don't want you to think I'm stealing this from Bruce, like Drew might do a little bit later. Northwestern is at home against Ohio State. Ohio State obviously could be the best team in the Big Ten. We're all going to find out as it unfolds. But the Wildcats at home are getting 27.5 points, Bruce Marshall. 27.5. And I don't think they're going to win this game, but I think 27.5 is an awful lot of points. I like the Wildcats in this game. How does the Gold Sheet have it?
Yeah, it's a lot, and it's a pretty long sample of underdog success with Coach Fitzgerald. I mean, he's done well over years, and not at the start of the season, but they've covered their last couple getting points at Wisconsin. They play Wisconsin pretty tough, and then Nebraska. But they still don't have a lot of offense. I think we're just a little scared to go against Ohio State. There's a case for Northwestern here. We don't love Ohio State that much. I would just rather not get in the way of these guys right now. They seem like they're not just hitting the accelerator. They're standing up on it. Justin Fields, maybe we should start talking about him for the Heisman. And, Ryan Day looks kind of bloodthirsty to me. By the way, don't be surprised if some NFL teams give him a call. He's worked in the NFL before. So I'm not totally sure he's going to stay forever in Columbus, just my own thought. But we had it 42-10 Ohio State. I would just rather not get in the way. But I acknowledge there is a case to be made based upon the point spread and Pat Fitzgerald's point spread underdog history for the Wildcats today.
But lay the points and take the Buckeyes in Evanston tonight in a game that's caused a lot of consternation in the state of Ohio. The game's in Chicago. If you want to go to high school football in Ohio, go ahead and good folks in Centrail, you need to go out and go to a game, don't they?
bring your TV with you. You watch on your cell phone.
Take your radio. I
Yeah,
don't know if there is a Centralia, Ohio, is it? I know there's a Centralia, Illinois.
There is a Centralia, Illinois, for sure.
but there's got to be somewhere in Ohio tonight if you want to go to high school football. You can. All right, two more kind of local. The two Mississippis. Ole Miss tomorrow night at home against Texas A&M, and pretty decided home underdog Ole Miss that they are tomorrow night. In Mississippi State on the road. At home against LSU in the preseason. I picked State to win this game, Bruce. Ooh.
Well, we didn't know how good LSU was going to be. But I'll talk about the other game first. This is the one dog we're going to take again this week is Ole Miss. One SEC dog. I think it's the only one. We had all the favorites last week. All the dogs last week, and this week I think this is the only one we got. But they're covering numbers. I like the way Rich Rod's using both these quarterbacks. Plumlee is a real playmaker, and I think he's more dangerous than Corral, but the nice change of pace. It seems to be working okay. They got inside the point spread last week, even though they scored last. They deserve to be in there. They scored that touchdown right before halftime. They got a shot to win that game. I think Missouri is better than Texas A&M, and I think they're getting a little fed up in College Station with A&M keep losing these games. And they've lost 3 already, and already, it's Belk Bowl or Music City Bowl for these guys. That's not what they're paying Jimbo all that money for. The Heat starting to ramp up. Not quite yet. Next year, if he keeps losing these games, it's going to get pretty hot for him there. But I'm going to take Ole Miss. Coach Mack has improved the defense. Rich Rod's got the offense going. They're covering point spreads. A&M is not lately. And let's give Matt Luke a chance. Upset 29-28.
Wow.
We're going to take Ole Miss.
Wow.
And in that other one, though, I'm not going to go on the limb here for Mississippi State. In fact, I'm hearing some stuff, and it's out there, so I'll say it. I mean, I'm not creating this stuff, but Joe's name is coming up. Moorhead's name's coming up for some jobs that might be opening up elsewhere, like in the Northeast.
It's Rutgers. Rutgers is the one that was reported yesterday that they've reached out to him and that he could be going.
Well, he could. They ought to go call Greg Schiano, too. But that could open. BC might open up. There's some other ones that might open up. He might be a fish out of water there in Starkville. It's not going good, and I think we had warning signs. One, with the defense that could have won the national title last year, and they end up losing 5 games. That's one warning sign. 2, Kansas State lost this year. That should have been a red flag. Getting boat race at Auburn was bad. Getting whipped at Tennessee last week, no good. Neither of these quarterbacks is taking the reins of this offense. The defense is way down. And I tell you what, I will give Coach O all the credit in the world for relinquishing. We mentioned this before about Harbaugh, but what Coach O has done is relinquish control of this offense because he knows that's what he should do. He is delegating like a great head coach, the CEO head coach should. The coach who ought to take heed here is Kirby Smart. If you ask me, he's got his hands too much on everything. That's just my opinion. But I think LSU rolls. And Joe Burrow, why isn't he in the Heisman conversation? He should be.
Oh, he
He's
is.
putting up these numbers.
He is.
52. Yeah, he is. 52-22 LSU. They just keep going, scoring points. I don't think Mississippi State keeps pace.
Let me ask you about an American game, which is the biggest game, I think, in the American this week, and that is SMU undefeated, and they are giving away 8 points to the team that you love so much and picked to beat my Tigers last week, Temple. This one, though, is in Dallas, and I'm really not sure which way to go on this. I think the 8-point line is about right.
Well, maybe. We thought Temple's got a shot to hang in here. SMU had a lot of trouble that last game with Tulsa 2 weeks ago. The schedule's broken pretty well for them, really. I know they got that was a good win at TCU, but TCU is not the top tier Big 12 team like it was a few years ago. Tulsa pushed these guys, and Temple's got a sticky pass defense. You saw them last week. They're not bad. They've got some balance on offense. Russo can make some plays. They've got some running backs. And I'm just not sure that Sonny's going to be able to extend the margin here. Temple's got a pretty good underdog mark throughout the years. And Rod Carey has continued what had been done before him, and with Rule and the rest. So, and Collins. Let's take SMU 31-30, but we're going to take Temple plus the points in this one tomorrow in Big D.
I've got it as 7.5. Is that accurate, Bruce? Plus 7.5 for Temple?
7.5, 8. Yeah, that's about right.
Okay.
I had it as 8. 2 real quick college ones before we get in because I think they're interesting. You mentioned you mentioned Georgia, but I'm really looking at the Florida, South Carolina, in Columbia, South Carolina. They're coming off this great upset of Georgia. And, here's a Florida team that ran into the buzzsaw of Joe Burrow last week. Florida is on the road, yet they're giving away 5. How do you see it?
Yeah, I think Helinski's going to play tomorrow. And he got knocked out last week, and they were sitting on that lead with Joyner and not letting him do anything. I don't know if he could, but it's better news that Helinski's in there for South Carolina because he can throw a bit. I think Will bought himself another year with that win. His defense has got playmakers, and they're going to have to do that again this week. I'm not sure that Florida will let him do that. Trask, though, if he makes mistakes, he'll get burned. But I think Florida showed me something last week. They were right in that game into the fourth quarter at LSU and lost by 14. That was the biggest margin of the game. I think Florida goes in there and wins. 27-16 up at Williams-Brice tomorrow. We'll take the Gators.
All right, last college game, if we can get it in quickly. In Washington, here is Oregon. That's a 2.5-point line for the visitors, the Ducks. And Washington's usually pretty darn good at home. This is one of the best Pac-12 games of the year. How does the Gold Sheet have it?
Yeah, and I'm not sure Oregon should be favored. I know Oregon's playing well. That defense is doing very good. Andy Avalos, new defensive coordinator, he's from Boise. He's doing a great job. He's doing a better job than Levitt did last year for them. And, by the way, he might be the guy that succeeds Brian Harsin whenever he leaves Boise, which he might. But they're beating up lesser teams. I don't know that Cristobal's a big game coach. Washington put things back together last week. They fluctuated a bit this year. I can't explain the Stanford game a couple weeks ago, but when they're on, they can do it. They're physical. They're going to be able to run on Oregon. I think they will score more points this week than Oregon's last 5 foes have scored against the Ducks, which is only like 25. 29-24 Huskies, I think they win this thing outright.
Husky Dogs win. Give us a couple of your favorite NFL plays and then tell our listeners how they can access all this great info.
How about the Chargers this week? Tennessee's got some problems. I don't know what they're going to be doing at quarterback this week, but the Chargers play better on the road. They're not going too well either, but I think getting away, this is where they've played the best. Tennessee has really got some issues, so we're going to take the Chargers in that one.
That was mine, too.
One? Yeah, I like that. And how about this one on Monday? I'm going to give the Jets a whirl plus 9.5 Monday night. With Darnold in there, I mean, they're a different team. People were complaining them with the Dolphins. They shouldn't have been doing that. As soon as Darnold came back, they're capable of winning games, which they did last week. And I don't think New England looks all that great right now, and they've had some historic problems up there at MetLife. So Jets plus the points. Maybe not to win, but stay within 9.5 Monday night.
All right, my friend. Bears and New Orleans. I got
we had New Orleans 23-17. We don't know that they should be an underdog here. I don't know that Trubisky coming back is a great deal for
don't take it
for
personally.
The Bears, we'll see.
You're just killing me. You're just absolutely killing me. Ha!
You don't. Well, you didn't ask me about Southern Illinois. Then I would really rub it in, but I won't.
I'm not asking that. I don't want to know. Give me more of you.
Check us out online, goldsheet.com. We got a new issue up there right now. Monday, the new issue comes out every week. We're going to have NBA season wins. And next week, the Gold Sheet basketball first issue of the season starts. Goldsheet.com and our NFL picks, like you said, 35-15 this year. We're really rolling in the NFL.
You have had a great run. I hate it when you pick against my team. Thank you so much, Bruce. Have a great weekend.
Have a good weekend, guys. Thank you.
Thank you. Bruce Marshall with the Gold Sheet. And I just got this in from our friends at All-Star Chevy in Olive Branch, and they're at it again. The Sports 56 Trail Boss Blitz. The guys at All-Star have 14 Trail Boss trucks on the lot they need to sell in one day, tomorrow. Hottest new Chevy trucks ever. This Chevy Trail Boss comes from the factory with a 2-inch lift kit, a black grill, off-road tires. It really is the boss. So what is the Sports 56 Trail Boss Blitz? It's tomorrow only at All-Star Chevy in Olive Branch. They'll give you $500 off your best deal or $500 in accessories or any spray-in bed liner you want with any new Chevy Trail Boss truck on the lot. Go to allstarautogroup.com. Go now. Check out the all-new Trail Boss trucks on the lot. Don't miss $500 off your best deal or $500 in accessories. The Sports 56 Trail Boss Blitz only tomorrow, only at All-Star Chevrolet in Olive Branch. Not Collierville, not the Pike, not South Haven. It's got to be Olive Branch. Find new roads to All-Star Chevrolet in Olive Branch or go to allstarautogroup.com tomorrow only at All-Star Chevrolet in Olive Branch.
And this portion of the show also brought to you by Campbell Clinic. And you know what? Tonight's high school football night, guess who takes care of vast majority of the high school football teams? It would be Campbell Clinic. They're the only group with orthopedic pediatric doctors. In fact, they've got 6 of them, and no other group has won. This is the team you trust when it comes to pediatric orthopedics. 6 of these guys to see that your kids are taken care of when their growing bodies get injured, whether that's a school injury like at a football game or just a bump and bruise on a playground for some sort of recess. Campbell Clinic is there for your team. They also specialize in more complex problems like scoliosis or childhood hip pain. Call Campbell Clinic today, 759-3111, or go online to campbellclinic.com to schedule an appointment. You and your child will be glad that you did. John David Bedour from the Touchdown Club. He is next. It's Ole Miss weekend coming up, or week, I should say, on Monday. He'll give us the lowdown in a second as you listen to Sports Time with Wolo and Stats.
Sports 56 now has 2 FM homes. You can now find real sports talk on 96.1 as well as 87.7 on your FM dial.
Hi, this is Troy Five Ash, owner of Five Ash Roofing. If you're in need of a roof, there's no better place to start than Five Ash Roofing. No matter what your situation is, we have you covered. We can walk you through the insurance process without committing fraud like many of my competitors. You'd be surprised how many times salesmen and contractors will manufacture storm damage just so they can get a sale. We do residential, multifamily, and commercial work. We're certified in every form of roofing we offer. Our labor warranties are for the life of the shingle, and we don't charge extra for that. And to my knowledge, there's no other roofing company in Memphis offering that level of security. And if that's not enough, we offer a best price guarantee. We are the official roofer of the University of Memphis Athletic Department and a proud member of the Tigers home team. Five Ash Roofing, fair, honest, and ethical. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com.
Five Ash Roofing, it's what we do. We're here for you.
You'll see the dedication in every single step. You'll see it in the smiles when smiles are hard to get. You'll see it in the little things that add up to success. The caring and passion are the things that we love best.
Wolf Chase Limb Brace is your Mid-South provider for orthotics and prosthetics. They are an ABC accredited facility and their practitioners are ABC certified. At Wolf Chase Limb Brace, their services include artificial limbs, legs and arms, braces of all kinds, and custom molded inserts. You can call them today at 901-507-7821 for their location on Highway 64 in between Germantown Parkway and Appling Road, or visit them at their new location in Jackson, Tennessee. That number is 731-660-5900, or visit them on the web at wolfchaselimbembrace.com.
Dedicated our life to yours. Wolf Chase Limb and Brace.
Now, back to Sports Time with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brad Norsworthy.
We like to party.
And welcome back in. John David Bedour is going to join us here momentarily. I've got 2 tickets in my hand Eli just gave me for the Memphis-Tulane game tomorrow, section 119, row 43, so halfway up. These are good tickets. The first person that calls Drew that is willing to get here before 5 o'clock, so you got an hour and 10 minutes, basically. First person that calls Drew on the First Bank phone line at 360-8255 that wants 2 good tickets to the U of M Tulane game tomorrow. We've got them for you, but you got to get here by 5. 360-8255. First one who calls Drew gets in. And speaking of Eli, don't forget tonight, Christian Brothers High School and St. Benedict. There's no Germantown game today. So on all the family of stations, that's Sports 56, 96.1, 87.7. We've got Christian Brothers and we've got St. Benedict. And right now, we've got John David Bedour. And it is Ole Miss night. And that is Monday night at a different place, the Butcher Shop, a great place that I love. And JD, you've got Matt Luke, right?
We got Matt coming in Monday night. We've been to the Butcher Shop, and the owners promised us a steak that night.
Wow.
So, and our guest fee's $40, so it's a good deal if you just came by to eat.
You're
sure
right.
Would be. What high school player we honor Monday night, John David?
Well, I'm going to tell you, we're talking about great high school players in the city, and this is the number 12, the 12th all-purpose back in the country. Jabari Small, the running back at Briarcrest.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, this guy, a couple of things I noticed. He moves laterally. He gets in the hole and moves laterally so well. And at the college level, that's what you have to have. And he's got great hands on catching things out of the backfield. You know, his father played at Ole Miss.
Sure did. Eddie did.
And was a great player. So if you like
how big is Jabari, JD? Do you know?
He's 5'10", 190 pounds.
So he's big enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. He'll play at 5'10", 210. He'll pick up 20 pounds his first year of muscle.
And that's a 7-0 Briarcrest team. They got a big one tonight against Cordova. We'll talk about that with Glenn Rogers when we talk high school football. But this is a dream season for Briarcrest, and what a great honoree for you Monday night. And I hope Coach Luke's talking to you Monday night after getting a win over these Aggies.
Boy, that would be great, wouldn't it? Look, if anybody wants to come, it's open. TDCMemphis.com. Go to TDC, Touchdown Club, TDCMemphis.com. Plans and pricing. You can pay online. It's $40. It's the butcher shop, 5:30 social hour, 6:30 dinner. The program begins at 7. And come out and see Matt and meet Jabari, a great player and he's committed to Ole Miss. He will be a good player for Ole Miss.
I love the way the whole program begins, because it begins with the benediction from the greatest of all, Father Viron, when he does the prayer before it all begins. It's the best. And then I love it the way you get the high school player of the week to go up, and Harold Grader usually will do an interview on the podium, and he does a great job of that. And the kids usually are very eloquent in the way that they speak, and I'm sure Jabari will be that way. So it'll be a special night, and if you're an Ole Miss fan, I know you want to go. And what a cool deal. How did you get to the butcher shop? How did that one work out?
Well, normally we're at the Hilton, and they were super booked up. So we went down to the butcher shop, and they said, we'd love to have you. So we had a great meeting 2 weeks ago with Blake Anderson at Arkansas State, and it was fantastic. They're serving on the bar. They're serving all premium liquors too, Dave, which is nice.
So that's going to be a lot of fun, and I thank you for the invitation. I think I'm going to try to make that night.
We'd love to have both of you there.
It should be a lot of fun. There'll be a lot of Ole Miss fans there. So if you are an Ole Miss fan, this is their night. And Matt Luke, the head coach, will be speaking, and Bruce Marshall just picked Ole Miss to win, so that would make it a very special night indeed. John David, who's the week after that?
Okay, it'll be 2 weeks. We got Joe Moorhead from Mississippi State, and then the next week, Jeremy Pruitt from Tennessee.
Wow, and it's so great this year that you have so many head coaches. So again, what do you say? Go to tdmemphis.com.
TDCMemphis.com. TDCMemphis.com, or you can Google Touchdown Club of Memphis. Go to plans and prices. It's $40. If not, there's a form on there you can push, and it's got the board of directors on it and the phone numbers. Call anybody on there, and we'll be.
And I think he disappeared somehow, some way. But you get there. It'll be Monday night. Go to the website, and you will figure it all out. By the way, and Glenn Rogers will join us at 4:30. You're so right, Brett. When he was talking in the preseason, and now the Saints are 7-0, but when he was talking in the preseason, Glenn Rogers, he said this could be the greatest Briarcrest team ever, better than some of those Hugh Freeze teams, which is saying something. So that really is. Again, terrific.
I don't know how he lost John David, but again, MemphisTDClub.com for all the information Monday night. Coach Matt Luke at the butcher shop. That'll be fun.
Oh, it will be a ball. This final portion of our number one brought to you by Miramichi, the number one public golf course in the state of Tennessee for years, year after year. Part of it's the layout, and gotta give Justin Timberlake a big tip of the cap for that, because he did it several years ago. He just took the old Woodstock, Big Creek, and he really reformed so much of it. And then came Fred Edmiston, and all he's done every year is make it better and better, from new carts to knocking down trees to making plush fairways to keeping those greens, which were terrific when Timberlake put them in, keeping them that way. Go see for yourself why it wins year after year. You don't go to Millington, by the way. You go halfway between Memphis and Millington to Woodstock. And there you are. 27 minutes from my driveway in East Memphis, 15 minutes from downtown. You'll love it. It's a walk in the woods. And I guarantee you this Sunday or even tomorrow, perfect weather, fall golf. They'll have the stream running. They'll have the waterfalls going. You can't help but fall in love with Miramichi. Go see why. Back in a minute, Peter Edmiston on the Grizz and the NBA. That's next on Sports Time with Wolo and Stats.
Tee it up at Edwin Watts Golf Shops with the new arrivals from Cleveland Golf. Turbocharge your game with the new Cleveland Launcher HB Turbo Driver that delivers more speed for higher, longer, and straighter drives. And the Launcher HB Turbo Irons, which deliver maximum forgiveness, higher trajectory, and increased ball speed for more accurate and longer shots. And the Launcher UHX Irons deliver the perfect blend of distance and accuracy. Let us help you get custom fit for free today at Edwin Watts Golf Shops, home of the 90-day 100% satisfaction guarantee.
Just got this in. My guys at All-Star Chevrolet in Olive Branch are back at it again.
The Sports 56 Trail Boss Blitz. Sports 56 Trail Boss Blitz. Hut, hut.
The guys at All-Star have 14 Trail Boss trucks on the lot they need to sell in one day. And they're the hottest new Chevy trucks ever. This Chevy Trail Boss comes from the factory with a 2-inch lift kit, a black grille, and off-road tires. It really is the boss. So what is the Sports 56 Trail Boss Blitz? This Saturday only, All-Star Chevy in Olive Branch will give you $500 off your best deal or $500 in accessories or any spray in bed liner you want with any new Chevy Trail Boss truck on the lot. Just don't miss $500 off your best deal or $500 in accessories. It's the Sports 56 Trail Boss Blitz. Only this Saturday and only at All-Star Chevrolet. Not Collierville, not the Pike, not South Haven. It's got to be Olive Branch, people. So find new roads to All-Star Chevrolet in Olive Branch or go to allstarautogroup.com. Day only this Saturday.
Upgrade your commute with Audible. Get 100% ad-free listening anytime, anywhere with the Audible app. Be inspired by Mel Robbins' Take Control of Your Life, Malcolm Gladwell's Talking to Strangers, and Rachel Hollis's Girl Stop Apologizing. Or listen to Stephen King's latest thriller, The Institute, on your commute. Use the app to hear an amazing story or learn something new, and let Audible give you the edge. Download the Audible app, start a free 30-day trial, and your first audiobook is on us.
If you're an outdoorsman and love all things hunting and fishing, be sure to listen to Sports 56 Saturday mornings at 6 a.m. for Outdoors Today. Brought to you by the Gun Store, 6920 Winchester in Memphis. Outdoors Today is a one-hour show hosted by veteran Mark Tobin and a group of respected outdoor-loving guests. Outdoors Today is dedicated to bringing outdoorsmen tips and techniques and tactics to help with your hunting and fishing in all seasons. Saturday mornings at 6 on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56, 87.7 and 96.1 FM.
We are Sports 56 WHBQ Memphis, WIVG FM Tunica Memphis, and WPGFLP Memphis. Flynn Broadcasting Stations. Now, more of Sports Time with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brad Norsworthy.
Welcome back in hour number 2 of the program. Peter Edmiston from the Experience of the Morning with CJ Hertz going to join us here momentarily. Don't forget Christian Brothers High School tonight on all of our stations. Peter's got the night off. Germantown has the week off. We want to congratulate Mac Lowry. He's the guy that won the 2 tickets to Memphis and Tulane tomorrow. I'm in the Family Leisure Studio. Brett is in Oxford getting ready for the Aggies and Ole Miss tomorrow night. Of course,
you're old school.
Memphis and Tulane, yeah.
The Aggies.
Oh yeah. And
don't get Sean Toohey started on your year at A&M.
I won't. Because that's his
version is quite different from the truth.
His version is fiction.
Yes, it is. You came back to Memphis to simply get married. That's it.
That's about right.
But
also, I want to point this out really
sure.
quick because I just got a pink shirt. Pink out the pitch tomorrow night, the last game for 901 FC, and this shirt, by the way, courtesy of the Baptist Cancer Center. And their final kickoff, regular season, and
what a great first year!
It was
what
a
great first year.
But it's tomorrow against Louisville, and Louisville's a pretty good team, and kicks off
twice.
at 7. Yeah.
I went twice and want to go much more next year. I loved it. I I'm not a soccer aficionado, nothing like you or our next guest, Peter Edmondson. Y'all both are geniuses about the sport.
I certainly wouldn't go that far. Peter might think he is, but
y'all are pretty good. Y'all are pretty good, and you are. But I enjoyed it, and resounding success first year. I knew it would be, and storming into year two, going to fall a little short of playoff for this first year. But it was fun. It was real fun to go to those games, and I'd been to the NASL games back in the day for the Rogues, and it was about 40 years in between soccer games for me in Memphis, but it won't be that because I'll be back out there next year.
And we're going to bring Peter in, and I really was going to start with Josh Jackson and what the whole deal is, why he's going to the G League. I know his agent was a little upset about that earlier in the week, like he's being punished or something, and I want to get that, but I got to ask you, since you and I are both soccer geniuses, and I don't have the answer for this, what the heck happened with Canada this week and the United States team in the CONCACAF tournament? The guy who was doing the analysis with Ian, the English announcer, was, killing the Americans. This first time they've lost in 34 years to Canada. What the heck? I mean, they did. They look lost.
Well, I mean, they are lost. That's why they look lost. It's very simple. You can't. It's a disastrous situation, and like most sports disasters, you got to look all the way at the very top. The way that the United States Soccer Federation has been being run right now is ridiculous. They had basically the better part of a year-long coaching search that ends up with Greg Berhalter being the manager, who just happens to coincidentally be the brother of the COO, Jay Berhalter of U.S. Soccer, which is a delight. There's so much. I don't know if I want to call it corruption's too strong of a word, but there's so much of a incestuous relationship that's going on here with everyone just kind of in this little insular family that the whole thing has begun to rot, and it's rotted from the inside out. The thank God for the women, because the men's team is a disgrace, and it's not like there's not some talent. There's definitely some talent there, but they're being extremely poorly managed, and the players are not of the quality together that they need to be. And I don't know if it's ever going to change, because U.S. Soccer has known for years this has been a problem, and they've done nothing about it. It's a really dysfunctional organization.
Peter, what's the most simple thing they could take from U.S. women's national and take it to U.S. men's national and improve something?
Well, I mean, number one, the problem there is that the discrepancy in talent is so much bigger on the women's side. So they could really get away with a lot more dysfunction. They weren't run beautifully, but they got away with it because there's so much more talent. We don't have that on the men's side. It's just not happening. I mean, there are some talented players. So, Weston McKinney and Kristen Pulisic has come along, but there's not just tons and tons of great players. It's certainly not compared to the elites in the world. So we got to be better organized. And, that's one thing that Jill Ellis was a really good manager for the women's team, and she got them together. I didn't agree with everything she did, but she was in charge and organized, and the team had a way of playing. This team really doesn't. And Greg Berhalter was a weird choice at the time. They didn't talk to other managers who were very interested, like Tata Martinez, who's coaching Atlanta United right now, doing a really good job. They didn't even speak to him, even though he was interested in the job. The number one thing I would say, Brett, is they have to get over themselves. So there's a tremendous ego in that organization that they seem to think that they know how to do things in spite of all available evidence telling them that they don't.
Irrefutable that they don't.
Yeah. So until they get over that, then there's really not going to be much improvement.
Peter, you just proved what I said about you and Dave being geniuses. Y'all nailed that. That was
He nailed it. He nailed it.
You listen and you learn.
I want to get to the NBA now and the Grizzlies and whatever you learned in these first few exhibition games. But let's start with Josh Jackson, a guy who was highly taken by Phoenix a couple of years ago, is involved in the deals and gets here, and instead of being on this roster, he gets sent to the Hustle. He has no camp with the Grizzlies, and his agent was basically saying they're punishing him for reasons unknown. He hasn't done anything wrong since he arrived with the Memphis program. So tell me, what is the deal? Why did he get sent to the Hustle?
Well, I mean, it's I wouldn't say it's I don't know. Anyone's agent is going to have any issues with this and the other. But as far as my understanding of it is, everyone's agreeable to the whole thing. So what the Grizzlies are doing is they are cautiously intrigued by the amount of talent that Josh Jackson has, but they have been informed by various folks, and obviously, and just watching what Josh Jackson's been up to this summer. He is not the greatest decision maker. I've heard tell that he's not necessarily a bad guy per se. He's just he doesn't make great decisions and not terribly mature, and may not be necessarily the most together young man that we've ever seen. So with that being said, they really value culture in building this young team. And I think there is some concern that he's not in keeping with that culture. So what they want to try to do is say, all right, well, let's put you in our culture that we've got in South Haven, the hustle. They practice the same facility, same management group is watching over them, similar stuff. Everything is very similar to what they're doing with the big club. And if he comes through and does the things he needs to do to get himself back together, it's not specifically about a certain number of points, rebounds, whatever. It's just about attitude and about getting him into a habit and a structure that works. If everything goes well and if there's no issue there, then I think there's a pathway for him to be back on the main team. But he's got to go through it, and it's going to take a while. I mean, G League training camp doesn't open up for another week and a half, so he's not going to even really be around the team until probably at the earliest well into December. So he's just going to have to go through and work his way up and prove that he's willing to suck up the ego a little bit and learn from his mistakes. If he does that, then I think there's a spot for him. They're keeping him. He's going to be on the roster. They have a 15-man roster, and he's one of those 15. So obviously they value him to some degree, but he's got work to do.
Peter, how and who typically breaks the news of they're cutting loose from a player? I asked mostly rhetorically the other day, kind of in jest, does the NBA have their version of the Turk? Give me your playbook. You done?
Yeah, I think every team has that guy, that will let the player know that they don't have a playbook in the same way that the NFL will, and everything's on iPads these days anyway. But they will
turn in your iPad.
Will let the player know.
Show me your papers.
Well, that's exactly right. I mean, delete your files. I mean, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
But yeah, somebody will let them know that Zach Kleiman or Chris Macris or Tayshaun Prince will want to talk to the player, and they will be delivered that news in person as best they can. Typically, the agent knows. I mean, these days, it's crazy how quickly stuff comes out. And a lot of times players don't even hear it, from the team first, whether it's trades or, being released or whatever it may be. So they try to be up on top of it as much as they can.
So they've got 2 cuts they still have to make, if I recall correctly.
Mm-hmm.
And have we learned enough in these 4 games, 3 wins, Haifa and New Zealand, and then Oak City.
Yeah,
and
those games are almost like a preseason, Dave. Yeah. I'll be honest. Like the level of opposition, Maccabi Haifa is really bad, and the Breakers were better, but not great. So it was a quantum leap forward from them to Charlotte. So I almost think it's almost a 2-game sample here. I don't know that you can take a ton from those first 2.
All right. Speaking of which, by the way, since the Breakers were a little bit better, what did you think of R.J. Hampton and LaMelo Ball?
Well, I mean, LaMelo wasn't here, but R.J. was, and he, it was in his NBA games, not just here, but then they went to Oklahoma City and played. And he just looks, what you would expect a reclassified kid who should probably be a senior in high school playing against professionals to look like. He's definitely got some physical talent. He's certainly got some length, and you can see there's definitely something there. But if you had taken, John Morant 2 years ago and put him out there in an NBA game, I dare say he probably wouldn't look that great either. So he's very, very young and has got no major experience. I mean, they hadn't even started the NBL season over in Australia and New Zealand, so he really hasn't even played to any major degree over there yet. So yeah, it's a long way. If you threw a Boogie Ellis and said, hey, go out there and play, he'd probably make some decent plays, but most of the time he'd probably look like it was way too fast.
Mm-hmm. What you think he would have fit in with the Tigers?
Oh yeah, without a doubt. I mean, he would have. Now again, those wing positions are going to be some interesting battles, and there's plenty of talent there. But absolutely, I think it would have been a lot of fun to see what he would have done. And I mean, look, it makes sense for him. He's making good money. He's to the extent that you can be a celebrity in a country of New Zealand where there's 4 million people. He's a big name there, and so he's making himself a little extra cash. Good for him. It wouldn't work for everybody. Not everybody wants to go over there, though it's very nice, I'm told. So it works for him. But I'd love to see what it would have looked like with him here.
So you do have the 2 games. Can you figure out where you lose 2 guys? Is it Rab and Plumlee, or where do you think they go?
Well, I mean, I think Rab's played well actually in the minutes that he's gotten, better than you might have expected. But with him, it's just a matter of expedience. I mean, they would save about 1.2, 1.3 million by waiving him before. I think his deadline is Sunday, I believe, on his contract, his guarantee date. So they'd waive him before that and save some money. And I mean, he's not. You've seen a lot of Rab. Like I don't think there's much left to determine. Like he's known, decent player. Yeah, he's just a decent player, and like I know. Again, I know no disrespect. I like Ivan. He's a good guy, but you can find Ivan Rabs out there. That's not a commodity that you absolutely have to hang on to. So for me, I think he's the most obvious one for a number of reasons. But that second one is more, I guess, a little more intriguing. Mm-hmm. To me, I think. I've always said Miles Plumlee, as long as you don't mind just eating that money. He's got $12.5 million, and you're just gonna have to eat that if you make that cut. But by the same token, you were going to eat it anyway with Chandler Parsons. You traded Chandler Parsons, who is still sitting out, by the way, for the Hawks, with both knees are problematic for him through this preseason, incidentally. But anyway, Solomon Hill and Plumlee come over. You've split that $25 million into 2 $12.5 million increments, all of them expiring, so it's really not that big of a deal. And, I think you could use one of them. And Solomon Hill has put himself out there, been a decent enough player through preseason, and his attitude is good. And he plays, a little more of a wing type position, can play undersized 4, play a little bit of 3. That's more a valuable position. So of the 2, I think he's more valuable. And Plumlee just hasn't looked good. Even in the minutes he's played, he hasn't looked particularly good. So as long as you don't mind eating that money, I think he's the most obvious cut to make.
Wait, what? I did not listen the last couple of mornings. I apologize.
Well, shame on you. Shame on you.
Well, I'm old now.
But that's fine. That's fine.
Watching baseball late at night. I don't have to get up early anymore, Peter.
I did, Peter. I think I was texting you, wasn't I?
You were. I get Brett's texts all the time.
But your take on China. We're going to ask, by the way, at 5:00, Rick Horrow, who, if anybody's going to know, he's going to know just what he thinks.
One tweet. What did it cost?
Well, yeah, but just how much revenue he thinks China brings to the NBA table. I'm really curious about that. But your take on what occurred, and then the LeBron statements.
Yeah, we talked some about it last week, Brett and I, and it's I'll start with the revenue stuff. Rick will know some things, but none of us, not even some of the GMs, believe it or not, and even some of the owners know exactly how much money is involved, because only certain committees within their ownership actually have access to some of that international information. So, the nitty gritty details of that are not necessarily readily available to almost anyone. So it's a little bit of a guessing game as to how much would be jeopardized. And it's something that Cat people, including folks from the Grizzlies, are discussing with the league and trying to figure out going forward. How much is this going to cost? It won't be anything over the next year or so, because pretty much all that is already cooked into the books. But in 2 years or 3 years down the line, those cap projections could change I would just ballpark at $15 million could go down per team. That's a lot. That's a major thing, and that's why a lot of players are unhappy, and a lot of agents are unhappy because there are a lot of players who are going to take a haircut on this deal as a result of what happens if the worst case scenarios play out, and we're still a long way to figure out how exactly burned these bridges might be. But as far as my feeling, and as I told Brett, I mean, at the end of the day, this has been set in motion, back in 73, 74, when Nixon and went over to open up China to trade. And at that point, once you started doing business with Chinese companies, you had to reckon with the mindset and the idea that this is a autocratic government, top down, that is involved in tremendous human rights. Tremendous human rights violations. And right now, in addition to Hong Kong, there are over 1 million, ethnic Muslims that are being put into, essentially concentration camps over there and are being hidden from sight.
What's the correct pronunciation of that? Is it the Uyghurs?
The Uyghurs? I don't know exactly. I only see it written. I never
think it's
really
Uyghurs.
heard spoken too much. But in any event, that's why I stick with the ethnic Muslims. But it's a horrible situation. But again, you knew that going in. It's the old scorpion and the turtle deal. When you get stung swimming across, you knew I was a scorpion. I mean, what did you think I was going to do? Right. I mean, so you had to know you were in bed with China to some degree before you ever started, and this was going to happen one way or the other. And you could hope and pray that we could just get by it, no one could think about it, we can all close our eyes and put our fingers in our ears, but it's gonna happen, and it's happened. And now with LeBron, I was just bitterly disappointed with the stance. I understand it's a very expedient one financially, but unfortunately, you can't pick and choose a battle like this when you have prominently put yourself into that market, when you have prominently put yourself out there and you rely upon that government for entry into that market. You have to tacitly approve of what they're doing, or at least be okay with not talking about what they're doing. A little bit of exposure would go a long way here, and it was very disappointing that he chose to respond the way that he did. I understand it. I certainly get it from a financial standpoint, but I certainly don't like it, and I don't think it's particularly noble. And it's very disappointing from a guy who I think has done a really good job in a lot of areas and has done a lot of good. But this is certainly a black mark on his record.
No question. Rather hypocritical in my mind. And I